Hey, Amy from the blog of lastinglife.com, and today I want to show you how to make the perfect sourdough chocolate chip cookies. Now it kind of sounds like a weird thing, but I promise you, the little bit of sourness with the sweetness and the chocolatey goodness really blends together perfectly. So the first thing you want to do about 4 to 12 hours before you make the cookies is feed your starter. You want to have a nice active starter. And then I'm going to grab the rest of my ingredients. You're going to need brown sugar, regular sugar, 2 sticks of butter, baking soda, baking powder, flour, and chocolate chips, and an egg. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cream my butter and sugars together. So here I have 2 sticks of room temperature butter. And then I'm going to add 1 cup of brown sugar. That's Pax brown sugar. And then a 1/3 cup of regular sugar. And I just use organic cane sugar. And then I'm going to turn my stand mixer on until it's nice and creamed. Once this is done, you'll notice that it starts to get paler in color and it gets a little bit fluffier. So to this mixture, I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of vanilla, and I'm going to add my egg. I always like adding an egg to a different bowl before pouring in, just in case there's a bad egg or if I get a shell in it or something like that. Next, I'm going to add 1 cup of starter, and then I'm going to pour it in here because I need so much. Break down the sides just to make sure it's all combined. Once that is completely mixed up, I'm going to start doing my dry ingredients. So I want to add the dry ingredients a little bit at a time, but you definitely don't want to overmix them or else you're going to have a tough cookie. I'm going to add 3 cups of flour, of all-purpose flour. You should definitely use a bigger bowl than this. Next, I'm going to need a 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder and a 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda and a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I'm just going to give this a light stir. I definitely used a bigger bowl last time, but my other bowl is, I'm fermenting something else, so my other bowl is being used. So now that I have my dry ingredients added to a bowl, I'm going to turn this on low and then add the flour a little bit at a time. Scrape the sides down at least 1 time. And then I'm going to add about 8 to 10 ounces of chocolate chips, just depending on how chocolate you like them. I usually like to do about 8 ounces of chocolate chips. If you wanted to, you definitely could add like walnuts to this or something, another type of nut that you like. I usually really like to add mini chocolate chips. I think it disperses a lot better in the cookies, but regular chocolate chips work just fine. So this is going to be the hardest part. You ready? Okay. So you're going to take these cookies and put them into a dish with a lid on it, and then you're going to stick them in the fridge for 72 hours. Hear me out. I know it sounds like a really long time, but it's the perfect amount of time for fermentation to give them that good sour taste without being too overpowering. You could put them in a little bit longer, but 72 hours seems to be the perfect amount. I've tried them at 24, 48, and 72 hours, and 72 hours have the best taste plus the best fermentation. My daughter actually has a gluten sensitivity, but she can handle long fermented sourdough products. So breads that have been fermenting for 24 hours, but in this case with the cookies, because they're going to go in the refrigerator since they have egg in them, it has to be a longer period of time. So 72 hours seemed to be the perfect amount of time that didn't upset her belly. If you don't have issues with gluten whatsoever, you could just bake these right away and it's no problem at all. And they still taste good. If you do have some type of gluten sensitivity, but you know you can tolerate sourdough products that have been long fermented, put them in the fridge for 72 hours. Thankfully, I actually have a batch in the refrigerator right now that I actually made 3 days ago. And I'm going to bake them up today, and then I'm going to have a batch in 3 more days. I don't know about you, but I have been emotionally baking. Anybody else? Quarantine? Anyone? Emotionally baking out there? Okay, so I'm just going to take my cookie dough that has been in the refrigerator, and I'm going to spoon it up onto my baking sheet. I like to line my baking sheets with parchment paper just because it makes cleanup a little bit easier. And I'm all for doing something that makes life a little bit easier. So if you wanted to, you can roll these into balls to make sure that they're absolutely perfect. Or you can do it the rustic way and just do drop cookies, which is usually what I just do. There's really nothing fancy about this recipe. I do like to give them just a little bit of a pat down before they go into the oven. These are going to go into a preheated oven at 350 degrees for about 15 to 20 minutes until they start to turn golden brown around the edges. All right, these have been in the oven and they are perfect. They look so good. So I'm gonna let these cool and then we're going to enjoy. All right, there you have it. Simple sourdough chocolate chip cookies. They may take a little bit of time, but they're totally worth it. And I hope you enjoy them as much as our family has. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, like, and share with your friends.